Hello, and welcome to the Fat Doctor podcast. I am your host, Dr. Ash Alami. This is episode something of season 6, and I am here to tell you about one of the things I wrote down in my diary not so long ago. My journal. I don't want to call it diary, too many connotations. In my journal, that said, the ruling class wrote all the rules, and I'm done following them. Yeah, yeah. Specifically in medicine. Let me tell you something about medicine. Okay, healthcare. I have a lot of things to say. Try and keep it short and sweet. So, in medicine, private interests come first. And sometimes that's all that matters, private interests, like nothing else matters. Sometimes we kind of go private interests and then interest of the patient. Private, when I say private, I mean like private corporations. So their interest, profit, money, and then the one, patients. In parentheses, in brackets, smaller font, you know? I said this before in a previous episode, especially the pharmaceutical industry, but also medical devices and certain other sort of the insurance companies, medical insurance companies, all of these industries, all of these private industries, industrial complexes, I should say, because they're huge, right? The weight loss industry as a whole, if you can actually try and quantify what that actually looks like, because it's actually a lot bigger than we think it is, like their interests come first and perhaps sometimes only. They are responsible for all the research that gets put out into the world. I've said this already. They are responsible for all of the training. A lot of your doctors are going to conferences or reading books and training guides and we have to do, a lot of places, doctors have to do some kind of like continuing professional development. And so, like often it's just like an online module or something sponsored by the pharmaceutical industry. So all the research, all the training, all the healthcare organizations, all paid for by the pharmaceutical industry. I talk about in the book, in no way everything that you've been told about weight loss is a lie. I talk about the diabetes guidelines in the United States and how in 2023 they changed to put glucose levels, blood glycemic levels, blood sugar. It's diabetes, right? So you think that that's quite important. They gave it equal I was going to say weight, but no, it's equal importance to weight. So weight and blood sugar levels are now equally important according to the American Diabetes Association guidelines. And in the year 2023 or 2022, I can't remember which year it was, but basically at the time that they were writing the guidelines, Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly, the manufacturers of Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, etc., the GLP-1 makers, spent $10 million on the American Diabetes Association. 10 million. So 10 million reasons why the American Diabetes Association really wants you to worry about your weight. Is there any evidence that weight loss improves your diabetes? No. In fact, there was a study, a big study, a good study called the Look Ahead study that specifically, literally did this. It said, let's look at diabetics, make some of them lose weight, some of them not lose weight, and see if the ones who lose weight end up healthier in the long term. That was the whole purpose of the experiment, if you will. It was funded by the weight loss industry. They were absolutely sure that they were going to be able to say, look at us, we did it, we proved that weight loss helped. And they did, and they actually found ways to keep people thin, because of course people lost weight, then gained it and lost it and weight. Like they kept going, they were determined, and they were convinced that they were going to win. And it's great because it's one of the only times that we have proof that they lost. Like they fucking lost. They showed no difference in diabetics. Weight loss doesn't improve diabetes. We've known that for years. In 2023, the American Diabetes Association went weight loss, very important. Even though the evidence says literally the opposite. Fuck them. This makes me so mad just to think about it, and it's because I'm a diabetic, but fuck them. How dare they prioritize money over everything else? How dare they force you to lose weight? How do they push and push and push until you have you're so exhausted and you're so tired and you're so overwhelmed, you have no choice but to comply. Just so that Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk can turn a profit. $75 billion in 2025, $75 billion. More, probably. Those fuckers. Every guideline that has ever been written in modern medicine was funded by the weight loss industry. Every person writing those fucking guidelines has ties to the weight loss industry, to the pharmaceutical industry. Everybody, imagine a situation, in any other, I'm trying to picture a different situation We're the very company, the very industry that is financially invested on you selling something, on you forcing people to or exploiting people into using their product, actually funds the fucking guidelines, like and explicitly. Like there's no, it's not done under the table. This is just out in the open. Like the people making the guidelines go, who should we invite to the table? First things first, let's invite the drug companies and the healthcare organizations that are paid for the drug companies. And they all know it because they're all friends. Like they're totally buddy buddy with each other. It's so gross. Those are the rules, folks. Those rules, the very rules that doctors are supposed to obey, follow, the guidelines that they are supposed to be following, are written by private corporations, by private industries, by the pharmaceutical industrial complex, by the weight loss industry, funded solely, controlled by them. And there's nothing we can do about it. And then there are the like, so that's the financial thing. And then there are the legal rules as well. Like, the people writing the rules, like oftentimes doctors sort of can abdicate their responsibility and go, well, it's not my fault, the guidelines say, or it's not my fault, the hospital policy says, or I would do it, but I'm not allowed to. And there's some truth to that. And I would also argue against that. But putting that to one side, the people who make the laws, the rules, like the people who put the hospital policy into place, the people who put national policy into place, the politicians who are making the rules, again, they're all influenced by the same people who have a financial interest in exploiting people in order to sell weight loss. And then there are the like professional licensing bodies. In my case, it was the General Medical Council, and I spoke about them a few episodes ago. Told you about the way they treated me when I had the audacity to speak up and say something that they didn't like. It was one fucking tweet, man. One tweet from 2021. And that was enough to sanction me and put a note in my record that had to stay there for 2 whole years. I think the 2 years is up now, but it was there for 2 years just to punish me for daring to step out of line. But this is actually, it's a great way to leverage professionals, right? Like if you've if you've spent a lot of time and effort like getting to where you are, like, and then they go, if you fuck up, if you speak up, we're gonna ruin your life, and you don't tend to speak up, right? And that's, I mean, anyone who expects me to, risk my life and my well-being and my, and my security just to do the right thing, that's not fair either. The medical system upholds a few basic ideals, which are really fucking problematic when you think about them. First of all, there is this kind of idea of meritocracy, like you work hard and things will be okay. Like the harder you work, the better your life will be. That's genuinely, like, healthcare professionals believe this, that if you work hard, your health will be okay. If you do the right things, if you follow these rules, if you follow these principles, your health will be okay. And also, if your health is not okay, it's because you did not work hard, you did not follow the rules, and you did not, you are to blame. There's no one to blame but yourself. This hides or just disregards all of the systemic exploitations that are going on under the surface. Like, it's just so fucking convenient. Just blaming the individual, just work harder and you'll be fine, just hides everything under the surface, under the rug. All the ways that healthcare inequalities in of themselves, income inequality, social determinants of health, whatever you want to call them, racism, weight stigma, transphobia, homophobia, all of those things, like, just hides them, like, and just goes, oh, that's got nothing to do with it. Sure. It's got everything to do with it, and you know it. And deep down, it. You don't need me to tell you that. Like, anyone who says, like, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps has never actually had to fucking pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They had it handed to them on a silver platter, and they'll go, no, I had to work really hard. But they didn't. You want to talk to somebody who tried to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and didn't succeed? Go talk to the unhoused. Go talk to the person that got made redundant. Go talk to the person who was working minimum wage. You think they didn't try? Yeah, that's what you want to believe. That's what you want to think. You want to think they're lazy. You want to think that, because otherwise you might have to admit that this could happen to you too. Nobody wants to think that. But when it comes to health, it's the same thing. Everybody wants to believe that they will live a long and happy and healthy life, that they will never be disabled, that they will never get sick, and that they will never die. And I'm here to tell you, you will eventually become disabled, you will eventually become sick, and you will eventually die. It is guaranteed. Death especially. That one, I promise. Everything else, pretty much guaranteed as well. Doesn't matter what you do, it's going to happen anyway. But you want to believe, everybody wants to believe, there's a way to stop that, or at least slow it down. And there isn't. Just look at Steve Jobs. He had all the money in the world. What happened to him? Sometimes, no matter what we do, just, you know, tough. My mother, I think I told you recently, my mother died of pancreatic cancer at quite a young age. She was only 69. And she was in perfect health other than the cancer. Blood pressure, cholesterol, everything. Mwah, chef's kiss perfect. She was a little bit overweight, but actually she was in the category that is supposed to live the longest and supposed to be at the healthiest. Because, I don't know if you know this, but with BMI, even if you want to get behind BMI, which God knows why you'd want to at this stage, but even if you believe in BMI and you believe that BMI is a measure of health or a marker of health or a marker of longevity, the people who have the longest life expectancy and the lowest chance or risk of health problems are people between a BMI of 25 and 30, the quote unquote overweight. So my mum was in that category. So she, as far as she's concerned, she should have lived a lot longer than she did. But, shit happens. Cancer is one of those shitty things. So, yeah, well, I went off on a tangent there. But working hard isn't going to make a damn bit of difference on your health. But people really want to think that it does. There's also the kind of hierarchy of bodies that medicine upholds. Certain bodies are simply better. And doctors walk into the consultation room with that preconditioned belief that controls everything that they do. Yeah, it influences, I should say, not controls, influences everything that they do. They look at you and before, as you're walking in, before you have said a word, doesn't matter, they've already made a decision. They have already judged you. In the hierarchy, there's I don't know if it's vertical or horizontal, but there's at the top, this is the best body, at the bottom, this is the worst body, and then everything in between, and worst and fattest go hand in hand. So the fatter you are, the worse you are. The end. In the hierarchy of bodies. So they've made a decision before you had a chance to open your mouth. They don't care. That's called implicit bias. There's lots of studies about that. Just, don't have to take my word for it. Again, it's in the book. Also, in healthcare, we have manufactured divisions in order to get people infighting, which is just a thing that capitalism do. This is racial capitalism, by the way, in case you were not aware. This is what racial capitalism does. So we manufacture divisions. So most of us in society are not members of the ruling class. Most of us are working class. Most of us do not have the means of production. Most of us are basically selling our gifts, talents, abilities, to an employer. We're being paid a wage for our production. We don't have the means of ourselves. So yeah, the only way for the ruling class to maintain their power is to get us fighting amongst ourselves. And the best way to do that is to say, you are stealing from you. Because of you, this person has less. The reason none of us have enough is because of the people at the top. But as long as we're looking at each other and fighting with each other, then we don't blame the top. And that's just how life works. And the same thing happens in medicine. The quote unquote cost of obesity. There's no reason to talk about that unless you want to position certain people as hoarding or stealing resources and other people being victims of that theft. Thin people, poor thin people, their health, their right to healthcare has been taken away by all these fat people who are stealing all the resources. That's literally what they do. They manufacture these divisions in order for you and I to sorry, not for an order for them to manage, to continue. For even the nationalised healthcare service that we have in the UK, in order for that to be successful, they have to do this. They have to be able to use that, for example, to ration healthcare and resources. So they'll say, well, we can't give you IVF as a fat person because we're rationing healthcare resources. We're rationing that. That's fair. And they'll tell you it's because you're less likely to be successful because you're fat. And of course, that's not true. And again, I make an argument against this in the book. No way, everything you've been told about weight loss is a lie. And my good friend Nicola Salmon makes an even better argument. I actually learned from her. But yeah, that's bullshit. But that's what they'll do. We're rationing healthcare. They ration organs, literally ration organs by going, you're too fat to have this heart. You're too fat to have this kidney. You're too fat to have this liver. Because, you know, that because of the hierarchy of bodies and because of the manufactured divisions and because of the meritocracy, then they get to do that. They get to continue. And who's on the other end making money? Some fat cat in the 1% is definitely getting paid because of that decision. Um, I believe that healthcare is a basic human right. Do you agree? Is healthcare a basic human right? I think so. I think so. But in reality, healthcare is a private enterprise. It's not a basic human right, it's a private enterprise. It's a way for people to make money, and there's big money in healthcare. There's a lot of money to be made in healthcare. In fact, I believe, I don't know if this is true, but I think the pharmaceutical industry is the biggest grossing industry out there, or at least one of the top five, you know? Eli Lilly, the manufacturer of Mounjaro, um, in 2025 was the highest grossing drug manufacturer out there. In 2024, it wasn't even in the top 10. Weight loss is big business. Weight loss is big business. So, this whole time, the last few episodes, since whenever it was, the beginning, middle of July, when I said, like, I'm done with being nice, I've been really, like, flaunting the real rules, sticking one finger up at the middle finger up at the rules and going, fuck you, I'm not following those anymore. And I realized that choosing not to follow the rules comes at a cost. And again, I've sort of alluded to this. It comes at actually sometimes a very real cost. For me, the cost was a loss of income, but also a loss of status, and also a loss of my investment. I start sometimes think of the sunken cost fallacy. I invested a lot of my time into my medical career, 20 years, in fact, and sort of choosing to put that to one side in order to pursue what I believed in came at a cost. But that's okay. That's okay because just I don't think I can get behind a healthcare system that is a meritocracy, that believes in a hierarchy of bodies, that manufactures divisions in order to profit. Like I don't think I can get behind that anyway. So fuck the rules. I'm done following them. I don't know that I have anything else to say, so I'm not going to try and say it. I'm not going to fill the gaps. That's no longer in keeping with my philosophy in life. So I've got an episode planned for next week. It's called I Know I'm Not Supposed to, but dot dot dot. Join me then. Look forward to it.